Hello. Hey everyone, thank you for coming to this session. I'm excited to chat about the ERC-20 token standard and some of the dangers associated with ERC-20 tokens that we've been seeing recently, especially with the meme coin meta, and some of the steps that we can take as an industry to provide users with a safer, more transparent trading experience. So before diving in, just a quick introduction to 0x and Matcha and what we do. So hello, my name is Will, co-founder and co-CEO of 0x Labs. We initially started building the first decentralized exchange protocol on Ethereum back in 2017. And today, most of the big wallets and DeFi apps out there that you might use are powered by our swap APIs. You can check them out at 0x.org. And we also have a consumer product called Matcha that is the search engine for tokens and liquidity. It's a DEX aggregator. You can find any token that has been deployed to like 12 different EVM blockchains within minutes and find the very best price. And part of the reason why we first started building 0x all those many years ago is because of the ERC-20 token standard and what it represents. So our initial vision that motivated us to build 0x and Matcha was this vision that all forms of value will be tokenized on public blockchains like Ethereum, and that most trading activity will end up settling on chain. And so this means billions of tokenized assets ranging from traditional securities like stocks, bonds, startup equity, fiat currencies, all the way to like more abstract forms of value like digital video game items, airline miles, internet reputation points. Really anything that you could assign a value to would end up tokenized on public blockchain rails. And so why is any of this important in the first place? And we believe it's because public blockchains provide us with an opportunity to disrupt what we view as a flawed global financial system that's highly fragmented, many layers and layers of middlemen. And ultimately, with tokens and globally accessible markets, we can start to chip away at what we call the geographic lottery and provide wider access to financial services. So that's why ERC-20 tokens are important. They're going to change the world and the way value is transferred globally. But what is the ERC-20 token standard? So the ERC-20 token standard, it doesn't specify how a token should work. So every single token that exists on an EVM blockchain, it has a unique address, it has unique business logic, and it has unique internal state. But the one thing that they all share is they share an interface that specifies how a token can be interacted with to transfer tokens from one address to another, or how to approve a different smart contract to access those tokens. There's just a very short list of functions that are required to build a token that's compliant with the ERC-20 interface. And the reason why this is important is because this flexibility allows you to design these functions to behave however you want them to behave. And in providing this flexibility, you can unlock all sorts of use cases for tokens. For example, like centralized stablecoins that represent underlying USD. You need the ability to ensure compliance to make sure that tokens can be frozen from bad addresses and so forth. On the other hand, there are lots of ways that this flexibility can be used to take advantage of non-technical users. So, what do you do if you want to understand how an ERC-20 token works? If you really want to get to the heart of it and dig deep into it and understand how it works on the inside, it's not that bad. You basically just open up Etherscan or another explorer. You find the ERC-20 token. You go down and look at the verified source code. And you can see exactly how the token works, all the business logic, all the internal state. and you can interpret it, you can examine it, and ultimately determine how the token behaves. But there's a problem here, obviously. So customization through the ERC-20 token standard unlocks all sorts of interesting use cases and ways to structure ownership. On the flip side, it creates room for malicious tokens and behavior that isn't really apparent unless you go and dig into that source code. And the major problem here is that, again, there are going to be billions of tokenized assets. It's not really feasible that you go and examine the source code for billions of unique tokens. And then for non-technical users, you're not going to be examining source code at all. So how can we ensure that users don't get taken advantage of? And is this actually a real risk, or are we just talking about this for the sake of talking about it? No, this is a real risk. In just the last year, 2 years, especially with like the meme coin trend, we've just seen massive amounts of money stolen from users through scam tokens, honeypots, various malicious tokens that are structured to steal money from people. And the impact on users is pretty devastating, and it can have a long-term impact on adoption and perception of crypto. So what we saw a lot in this most recent wave of meme tokens, people getting into tokens fast, within a few minutes of them launching on chain, barely having any info or doing any research, and ultimately getting hurt. This way of trading needs to end, and we need to provide users with more useful information and protect them from getting hurt by malicious tokens. So, also during the last 1 or 2 years, we've seen a variety of token security tools emerge. So from Go Plus, Honeypot IS, Quick Intel Token Sniffer, Blockade, all of these different products are evaluating ERC-20 smart contracts and their interactions and how they function to identify token attributes that are potentially risky or outright malicious. And one of the challenges is that these token security tools live in their own website most of the time. So if you want to research a token and then ultimately make a decision of whether or not to trade it, you have to have multiple tabs open, you have to know of these websites, and it's just not something that most users are going to be able to do. So these types of token security tools really need to be a part of the user experience when people are making a decision of whether or not they want to purchase or sell a token. So there are a variety of token security tools out there. There are also some products that exist that expose these tools to users. But the challenge is that the tools that surface this information are really geared towards prosumers who know how to navigate a complex user interface like this, like a DEX screener or a Gecko terminal. And this is not any sort of, not giving any heat to these products. They're really great products, but they're just very advanced and not something that most users would be comfortable navigating. So how can we try and disclose this important token security information, but maybe in a way that is a little bit more accessible? Ultimately, how do we educate a wider segment of users? So this is how we've been thinking about it for Matcha. So as mentioned earlier, Matcha is a search engine for tokens and liquidity. Any token that exists on over 10 different blockchains we support will be indexed and searchable on Matcha within minutes of hitting the chain. So we will have all of the blue chips, as well as the most long tail tokens that you could possibly think of. They will be available on Matcha. And therefore, we're really focused on how we can help users make more informed decisions. So the way that we're approaching it is as follows. First, every user should know how to check a contract address. So if you go to Matcha, you land on a token page, every user should feel comfortable looking at that token address and confirming that this is the authentic token that was issued by the project they are looking to get into. I think this is pretty trading 101 for a lot of folks out there, but not everyone knows to do this. Second, we want users to check official links from the token issuer, be able to do research, not through second or third hand sources, but directly from the token issuer themselves. And you should also be able to see if a token is available on the reputable coin trackers or listed on centralized exchanges. So as you can see here, when, again, you immediately land on a token page, it's very easy for you to find the resources that you need to do research on a token. You can also very easily confirm that this token is recognized on other reputable platforms like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. You can see if it's listed on Coinbase or Binance. Third, every user should know whether or not a token they are thinking about purchasing is liquid, sufficiently liquid such that if they buy the token, they can go and sell it if they want to. And this isn't something that is very easy for users to understand today. Most products for token research, what they will do is they'll maybe show you the amount of total liquidity that's available for a token within an AMM pool, like the TVL. But that doesn't actually really tell you anything about whether or not you can sell that token and in how much size. So with Matcha, we have this liquidity score. It's a simple 0 through 10 scale that just shows you how much liquidity is available near the current price, and therefore shows you how much you can sell into the market without moving the price too much. And then finally, going back to these token security tools that we discussed earlier, every user should have access to these types of research tools in order to not only identify if a token is malicious or not, but also to just identify how a token works and understand the business logic that dictates its inner workings. So on Matcha, again, we also have now just launched our security audit feature. And the way that this works is that at the top of the page, when you're looking up a token, you can see how many different properties or attributes of a token you might want to pay attention to. We can't tell you whether or not any particular token attribute is dangerous or malicious or benign, but what we can tell you is whether or not it's something you should understand and that should be disclosed to you before deciding to purchase a token. So we're using Go Plus Labs. As you can see here in this animation, we have the little badge at the top, and then a section that kind of shows the most popular or the most commonly viewed token attributes that people are concerned about. Is the source code verified? Is this a honeypot? Are there funky buy or sell taxes to be aware of? And then you can also go deeper and really evaluate all of the different properties associated with a token. So just kind of putting it all together, if you're trying to understand what an authentic token looks like versus perhaps maybe like a copycat token that's trying to impersonate the real version, if you go to Matcha today, you look up the token, you land on the page, you can immediately see if the token contract address matches, if the token is recognized by trackers or centralized exchanges. You can find the official links, do research. You can check very quickly whether or not the token has a healthy level of liquidity. And you can also see that in this example as well, there's maybe a couple of properties of the AI XBT token that you should maybe be aware of, but they aren't necessarily malicious. And then we'll go to a copycat token. Oops, a friend of mine's playing Cyberpunk on Steam. Okay. In this impersonator, this impersonator token, you can very clearly see the token contract address doesn't match. There's zero liquidity, so if you buy this thing, you will not be able to sell it. You can see that GoPlus has flagged this contract as having malicious source code. There are no links. There's no support on trackers or exchanges. And going back between the two, it's very easy to tell at a glance the relative security properties of the real thing and the fake. All right. So what does this mean for the space? Where do we go from here? The current meme coin cycle and token launch pads, they have facilitated an explosion of tokens. A lot of them are interesting experiments, people just, doing interesting things within their communities. A lot of these tokens are also malicious and intended to just steal money from people. With major onboarding events like the recent tokens that were issued by prominent political figures, brought millions of people on chain, and it brought them into a space that is way too complex for them to navigate. These users are not going to be going to these professional trading terminal user interfaces and doing deep token research. And so what do we need to do as an industry? We need to self-regulate. We need to provide people with the information they need to make smart decisions, or at least if they're going to make stupid ones, they can be more informed while they do it. And what can you do as builders? You can also put in the effort to provide users with simple and relevant information about token security attributes at the time that they are deciding whether or not to make a trade. And you can help them, therefore, avoid honeypots and other types of scams. So we hope that what we have done with Matcha can make knowledge about token security properties a little bit more accessible to a wider audience. Hopefully, this inspires other builders to explore other ways of accomplishing this. That's all. Thank you, everyone. My name's Will. I have social media stuff. We have also Matcha social media stuff, which I'm sure isn't a surprise, and it's all here. But yeah, thank you so much for coming to the talk. Appreciate it.